Now it's time to hear from you. It's time for interaction. Because we are streaming, we will use the microphone. We trust that you speak into the microphone, and professors and doctors, you would use the one on the table. We've got this gentleman first, and then there'll be you.
Yeah. Prof, you know that we have a national physical development plan, right? So it's not that there is not a policy document on land and zoning and where agriculture is in. Every single government that has come into power since that plan was passed in Parliament has broken the law, has gone in and put in factories. Then it is the National Food Crop Farmers Association that stopped the rapid rail in Trinidad because they were going to take away farmers' land. We say no, no more land, no more agricultural land south of the highway for that. Then, so it is enforcing the laws, and you know, I made the point that I never failed at fighting because the bureaucrats and the technocrats in the ministry and the cushion jobs sit very quietly. As somebody pointed this morning, no one will take away the nice cushy jobs. Right? Up to 2 days ago, we was in Wallafield fighting for the land, tenure for people. Now, I want to address the point that farmers really don't. I don't know no farmers in Trinidad who feel somebody owe them anything at all. So telling me, right, I have planted maybe 20 acres of crop in the last 10 years or so, and I've never applied for incentive. I've planted 12 acres of lime because nobody's in the West Indies is planting back lime since probably the 1950s and big acreages then. I want to go up to 20 acres, just still small. I never applied for a center subsidy, but the subsidy is there in the paper. Good? Not too much trouble with that. What we want is an enabling environment and a level playing field to be able to work, plant, produce food on a level playing field with the other people who importing food and the other people who making monies. As regards water, far as I know, all the people doing tree crop in Trinidad, I don't know, and I was trying to find out this morning from some of the other experts who came up. Where is there a farm or a model that we could go in Trinidad and look at a proper irrigation system where there is a farming area that is irrigated? Everybody depending on rain-fed, so we don't have to pay for rain-fed water. Yet still, in Trinidad, we have the 25-year storm every 2 weeks now. And we have the 50-year storm every 2 or 3 months now. And all our water going where? Into the sea. Into the sea. So we're taking water that is coming from there, that is filtered water already, and we let it go down in the sea. Right? While farmers scrambling, and we talk about food prices, but we plant on the vagaries of rain-fed systems. That is the bottom line. I don't have a water line running in my farm here. I have never taken one single drop of water. I collect my own water. I have my tanks. It's only up to last year I put in the national power grid by me. I had 9 solar panels on my house for about 15 years. So we try our best to be as sustainable as we could. But the country owes us proper land tenure. The country owes us. Not that we want it for free, no. We're not talking about free this year. We're talking about at least that you can pay for, that you can go to a bank with and get out, not even the ADB. I sit on the ADB board for 9 years, and I can say, without fear, 70% of the portfolio goes to about 10% or 8% of the borrowers, which is the big people. The rest, well, don't talk about the future squatter. You don't even think about the word ADB. Forget about that. Cross that out from the dictionary. Right? Let me stop you.
The fact is that when oil prices are low, nobody talks about it. When the prices shoot up to $100, everybody's talking about it. And we tend not to have these things embedded in our policies. As a result, we end up not addressing the issues on a long term. But one of the issues I also want to raise in specific with regards to St. Vincent and Grenadines is the problem of forest degradation to marijuana farmers. As the long arm of the law drive farmers into the hills, they're cutting down the trees, and we really want to raise an alarm that this is something that needs to be addressed. And if you think St. Vincent is the only place that it happened, I tell you to look further. It is happening elsewhere. They're going deep into the forest, destroying the forest, and there is no policy. I personally, I would say just decriminalize the whole thing and zone the farm and let them farm in areas where it could be controlled. That's my personal view. Another issue that I think is important, and particularly for this panel, is the issue of chemical tracking in agriculture. We sell chemicals indiscriminately to farmers, and we don't know where they end up. And they end up using this stuff, and there's no database tracking these chemicals as to how much of these chemicals are actually used, and are they overusing this stuff. Nobody has a database, and we need to start to do something about tracking chemicals in the agriculture sector. Another issue is that of recycling. I didn't hear anybody talk about it, but plastic recycling, it has to be an issue that we have to address. Because not only that, I mean, look at the cell phones, the numbers set, the proliferation of cell phones in these countries. St. Vincent has 130,000 cell phones to 100,000 people. What are we doing with these phones? Because we have poor policies in the telecom sector. You would have people buying 2 cell phones because cross-network costs are too high. Now, this might not look as something that is critical to us, but we need...
I just wanted to respond in terms of the forestry issue, because we have fisheries, water, land, but forestry is another important issue. And to just draw your attention to this whole talk about thinking outside the box. In the case of Guyana with the low carbon development strategy, they have actually taken that as an opportunity, because we talk about the developing world putting things on us. It's time we make them pay. Okay? They owe it to us.
The fishermen on the northeast coast of Trinidad have this erroneous idea that the big boats are coming from Guyana and other places and taking out little redfish like this is really depleting the fish stocks. I don't know if that's true. I want to be able to tell them the idea is erroneous.
I can't answer you definitively without knowing the vessels involved, but there is a lot of illegal fishing going on, and it is going on close to our shores. And the reason for that is that we do not have enough resources to patrol, and some of our neighbors with larger vessels know this. And we also, Trinidad and Tobago has a transshipment port, which you may be aware of, and vessels flagged with St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Belize, which are owned and operated by interests from Chinese Taipei. They use the Trinidad and Tobago transshipment port. And I'm sure when they're leaving and entering that port, they may well have gear in the waters of CARICOM countries. So we have a lot of illegal fishing going on, and some of it is going on close to shore.
Land in terms of planting something on top of it. So the issue about soils, I think, needs to be brought up much more fundamentally and engage with farmers in particular. They want to use the soils almost in a movement to save the soils of them. That's what they have to use, otherwise they're going through.
I just want to come back to the statement of the region cannot accept, should not accept to be dependent for its food. I think that this is a very strong statement, but also it relates to who is going to go to the farm and do agriculture. I come from Africa. I don't yet qualify to be a Caribbean. From where I come from, it just recently that some policies are trying to make farming and agriculture an interesting and attractive business. Otherwise, the people who are farming do it because they have no choice. And the parents will encourage their children to move away from agriculture.
As we close the second panel today, which dealt with the issue of saving what's left of agriculture's physical resources, I'd like to start with you, Professor Arman.
Yes, the soils, of course, I think I need to repeat that we appreciate it is very valuable. And right here it says that we're losing about 10 million tons of soil per year, and that represents several thousand acres of land lost. Freddie said that you can remove the soil, but it's not a simple matter removing it and replacing it. When it's gone, it's gone. And how can we afford this? How can this happen right in front of our eyes and we can do something about it? I hope that I may live to see, some more positive steps being taken to save our land.
Well, my wrap-up would be that it is very important to conserve a lot of our physical resources, soil being what our food grows in. We are basically what we eat. So the health of our soils is going to influence the health of our food, which will ultimately influence us. One of the other physical resources, well, I call it a physical resource that we didn't really discuss, was germplasm and conserving a lot of the local crops that we have within all these islands that are adapted to our environments, especially in the time of climate change. Water is something that's very important. Part of what we do in permaculture is we interact with schools. I was dealing with about 40 schools in the Southwest Peninsula in Trinidad, and just sensitizing children to how water is connected to everything. From the fact that when they throw garbage out of their door or on their school ground, how it gets into the environment, how it gets into their food, how it gets into the fish, how it gets into everything they do.
I'll end as I started, promoting an integrated approach, integration in terms of land and water, integration in terms of the various ministries involved, integration in terms of public and private sector, integration in terms of looking at it not only in terms of certainly land degradation as a problem not only of agriculture, but of construction, of tourism, of everybody involved. Thinking outside the box and looking at how we can turn challenges into opportunities in the same way that the low carbon development strategy is now taking that as an opportunity to get money, and building on what Neil was saying about using your own people, using your resources to be able to manage yourself. And that brings the next point of empowerment. And we empower by educating and providing information. And finally, research, the importance of analysis and interpretation, not just collecting data for data's sake and keeping it in a ministry that nobody knows except the person who's managing that particular database, that information is there.
I would also like to give support to the integrated approach. From the fisheries standpoint, we recognize this very much because we watch our soil come into the seawater, we watch our fresh water come into our seawater, and we don't really want it. So we know that whatever you do on the land affects us, and we realize the need for the intersectoral consultations. There is a need for us to understand our systems. If we're going to understand our systems, we need to know, we need to collect the data and information, we need to have the support for the monitoring systems. Yes, there's a lot of good data out there, but sometimes when we do monitoring and we don't see, we don't understand and appreciate the purpose of it, sometimes those data are not analyzed, or by the time you do come to analyze them, you can't make sense of it because there are important gaps. So what are the management questions and the policy directions that we want? What are the data that are going to give us the answers? We have to commit to developing that information base. Let us not wait. The paradigms are changing. It's no longer single species assessment for fisheries. It's ecosystem-based approaches. Are we going to wait for the developed world to come and tell us how to do it in our neck of the woods? I don't think so.